we are the most targeted group in the whole world. I'm happily to say that. You know, you can call an anti-vaxxer anything online.
Yeah.
As abusive to an anti-vaxxer as possible, because they've literally turned it into a hate term and hung every single heinous crime upon us.
Yes.
We're worse than paedophiles with this, but without kind of ever looking at the other side and having us on any programs to say, well, actually our children were harmed. So I'm kind of that level of abuse. And I think being on Twitter for 5 years speaking about the dangers of vaccines has kind of trained me a little bit to deal with that, but I literally had 7 whole days where every hour I was called the C word from all over the world.
I saw it
every 24/7, and it was by the end of the week I was kind of getting a bit, this is getting a bit much now,
right?
So yeah, that I've had the training for it, basically, I think, in a little way, but there's only so much abuse you can take, really.
Well, exactly. So let's talk about that, because obviously you first came on my radar because I was very well aware that you were asking very serious questions about vaccinations. So just give us a little bit of background about why that is so important to you, because obviously we now know that as soon as people are called anti-vaxxers, that's about demonizing them to the wider world now. So what about if I say questioning vaccines? Why are you so passionate about questioning vaccines, Charisse?
Well, my son went for it was about 14 months, and then he was given his MMR, and they gave him Prevnar at the same time just to catch him up. And I always got my partner to take all of the children for their vaccines. I never took them at all for any vaccinations, because I just, why didn't I listen to my instincts on that? But he'd always take the day off and do it. And then the last child with the last set of vaccinations, so it's my last child, the last set of vaccinations, we lost his eye contact. And it was very strange, because obviously that little baby and they're not looking at you. So even when you're changing their nappy, I'd be on him and he'd turn his eyes away, and he just disconnected from us totally.
Oh.
It would come, his dad would come in from work, but you wouldn't even know we were there. He was there. I would go up behind him and literally clap. He wouldn't even respond. He was just in his own little world. He wanted to sit with the Hoover, fiddle with the Hoover, turn light switches on and off. He wasn't even with us any longer. He was just, so that's, and then my partner sort of said it happened after those vaccines, because it was kind of like this, we're busy, we've got 3 children running around. I was doing shifts, so I'd drop the children off at the childminder, he'd pick them up, and yada yada. We were busy, and 3 children, and it kind of, then I just went online and started looking for information and looking at vaccines. Right, what's in them, really? And I'll go look at the safety studies, and they were totally fraudulent. I'm not a scientist, but I know fraud when I see it. And so I just kind of, and then I just met, and it was the other parents that were saying the same thing, but not just 1 or 2, it was thousands. I'd meet new parents every day online, new reactions, new side effects. I cannot tell you, and I still see this every day. There are still children every day that are dying, or death, or seizures. It's just such a vast amount of parents I ran into, and then you just don't stop, because you can, going back through the history of vaccinations, once you start unpeeling all the information, you realise that the lie has been so big, and
right. And it's terrible that so many people, because I've seen you before when you've been under attack on Twitter, on social media, and you've said to people, I'm not the way that you're portraying me. There's a reason. My child has been damaged. There's a reason I'm responding like this. And nobody seems to hear. And honestly, I only have to say one vaguely what appears at, questioning of vaccination on Twitter, and people go absolutely insane. But I literally don't read the notifications anymore, or I'll read them very briefly or whatever, because I know what it's like. And there has to be a degree of bought social media accounts which are promoting vaccinations because it's too intense. It's too intense.
Well, we saw Boris admit to spending 130 million.
Yes. Yeah.
On fighting anti-vaxxers. I'd like to know where that money was spent. Do they have people doing this? How are they doing that, Boris? How are you fighting the parents of children that have been harmed by vaccinations? How are you spending our taxpayers' money to cover up for this harm